I'm Zane, welcome to Audio Tech TV, and today I'm going to challenge myself to try and mix an entire song using only iZotope plugins, and I'm going to try to use as much of the AI assisted settings as possible. This video is sponsored by iZotope, but they didn't tell me what I had to say or do, so I decided to create this challenge for myself and use only their plugins to mix an entire track. And if you aren't aware of iZotope plugins, some of their key ones have these AI assisted settings like a mix assistant or a master assistant. So you run your track through the plugin and then it will set the EQ, compression, and a bunch of other settings all on its own. So that's the AI assisted settings, and I want to try to use as much of that as possible here. And you might think this is going to cost you a lot of money, but you can actually get into all of this software for fairly cheap, and I'll get more into that in a little bit. But right now, let's check out the song that I've got going on. It's not mastered at all. I've got everything set at 0, so it's ready to roll.
Three lights in the sky, three lights blinking in the night, and they shine down on me, but I didn't feel a thing.
So as you heard, it's kind of a mess because the levels are all over the place and I haven't done any levels yet. So that's the first thing that we're going to do, is set the levels for all of our tracks. And iZotope makes this process very easy. We just have to load the relay plugin onto every one of our tracks. So here's what the relay plugin looks like on its own. It has a few controls in it, like you can control your levels, your panning. You can even control your width in here. Plus you can set to mono, you can reverse the phase. Plus you have some time delay and a filter over here. And you can close all that advanced stuff down and just have this on the screen if you wanted by clicking there. But it's a basic plugin. It really isn't intended to be used on its own, even though you can use it on its own. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to rename these for each of these plugins, and you're going to see why later. You're going to want to do this as well. So this one is lead guitar. Then I'm just going to copy that to the next track, and I'll rename it to acoustic guitar. And I'm going to do this for all of my tracks. So I'll chop the video here as I do it for each track, and then I'll come back once it's all done. All right, so I've got the relay plugin loaded onto all of my tracks. And you'll notice that some of the tracks don't have it, like reverb sends, I didn't put it on there. And then drum parallel, I didn't put it on there. That's because I'm going to work with those later on, and I don't need the relay on there right now. They're actually muted tracks right now. But every track has the relay plugin, and they're all named for that specific track. And another thing you'll notice is when I name it, I put relay on there. That's because if we start to load some of their other AI assisted plugins, they're going to show up in the list as well. So we want to be able to specify that this is the relay control versus the Neutron control or whatever plugin. So our next step now is to add the iZotope Neutron 3 visual mixer right there. And we're adding that onto our mix bus or your master track, whatever you call it in your DAW. That's where it's going to be added. And we want to click on Mix Assistant. Again, you'll notice all of my levels are set to 0. So don't touch any of your levels or any of your panning when you start out. Just start with a fresh mix like this. Everything's at 0. So we'll click on Mix Assistant, and it's going to tell you to insert the relay plugin onto all of your tracks. You can also use the Neutron plugin on all of your tracks, but I'm going to use that a little bit different later on. Also, it wants to make sure that you reset all of your tracks to 0 and all of your panning is down the center, because we're going to change that later on. And this is actually going to help you to do that automatically. So we'll click Begin. And then we can see select a focus for your mix. So typically what I want to focus on in my mixes are the lead vocals. We'll have lead guitar here because the lead guitar comes in when there's no vocal, so that's fine. I want it to be a focus. And I also like to have the drums as a focus, and everything else can be sort of underneath. Now we can click Begin Listening. And what you want to make sure you do is play your song all the way through, from the beginning all the way to the end, so it picks up every little thing about your song. So that's what I'm going to do right now. All right, so I played my song all the way through the visual mixer. It had its chance to listen to everything. Now let's click on Go to Results. So you can see here we have some adjustments that we could make if we wanted. We could increase the focus, which would increase the gain on the tracks that we wanted to focus on. And you can see we have the vocal group, the bass, the percussion, and this is our musical section. So you can adjust these things manually if you want it. I'm going to leave it at the settings that it's suggesting. So I'm going to click Accept. You can see here, this is like a fader kind of. All of our tracks are in here, and we can choose to increase or decrease them by moving them up and down this fader. And we can also choose to pan them left and right if we wanted to, right from this screen. So if I wanted my guitar 1 to be panned all the way left, I could click on it. And if you hold down your Shift key and then scroll it all the way to the side, it will stay relatively in the same position and just allow you to move it to the side, not up and down. And you can do that with any of your tracks, but I'm going to show you how else you can do this as well. So let's go to our guitar 1 in here. And I like to pan my guitars all the way left and right. So guitar 1 is going to be all the way left, and we'll go to guitar 2, which will be all the way to the right. And now if we go down here, you can see in the visual mixer, they're all the way to the left and right. And that's about it for my panning right now. One other thing that we might want to do here is just set the width a little bit. So I'm going to increase this to about 44. I'll do that on both tracks. And around the same. And that's just going to separate it from the mix a little more and give us some more room for the other elements of our mix. So let's just listen to what this sounds like right now with the settings that the AI assisted plugin gave us. So let's listen to that. All right, one thing I'm noticing is the cymbals are really loud, and I don't know why it set it like this. Maybe it's because the hi-hats are kind of low. I have a lot of cymbals from the overheads in my main drum track, and these are just here to kind of assist that to bring out the crispness of the cymbals. So I'm going to bring this right down, and then I'll increase it to taste. All right, that's fine right there. And all the rest of the levels, I'm just going to leave as is. All right, so we have all of our levels set, and we even have some panning set for our guitar. It's time to add our EQ and some compression to really make this sound a little nicer. And we're going to do that with the Neutron 3 plugin. So I'm going to start with my electric guitars. And what I want to actually do here is just put them into a submix. Then I'm going to call this guitar bus, because I'm going to treat these the same with the Neutron, and then I'm just going to put Neutron onto here. So let's do that right now. All right, so here's our Neutron plugin. And again, we want to go to the Mix Assistant. And you can see it gives you a couple of options. This is the one that you want. It's going to listen to your track and then add the EQ and compression settings that it thinks is proper for it. This here will sort of act the same as the visual mixer, and it's going to balance your mix levels. So you could actually use just Neutron 3 instead of Relay and the visual mixer, but I'm going to use this to add our compression and EQ. So I'm leaving it on that setting. Click Next. And now it's saying, what am I going for? So what's the instrument here? Guitar. It's a clean electric guitar. Do I want it to be up front? Do I want it to be balanced? Do I want it to be warm? I'm going to leave it at balanced. And what kind of intensity do I want? I'm going to leave it at medium. And we'll click next, and it wants to listen. So we'll play the track, and this time you don't have to play it all the way through. It's going to probably take about 5 to 10 seconds to listen to your track. What you want to do is play it from the most dynamic part of your song or the loudest part of your song, so it can really get an idea of what that's like. But this track is pretty much the same all the way through. And after it gets its sample, it's set all of these things, and you can just click accept. And you can see it's added a sculptor, an equalizer, compressor 1, compressor 2, and an exciter to the track. So let's just solo this out and we can hear how it sounds. And now let's just check it out in the mix to see if it makes it a little more present in the mix. I think that does a great job at what I wanted it to do. It just makes it a little more present in the mix, but it's not overpowering the mix. And now let's do the same thing onto our acoustic guitar. All right, so I'm going to add another instance of Neutron 3. It's going to go onto our acoustic guitar. I'll just name this Acoustic Neutron. And again, we're going to go to our Mix Assistant. We want Track Enhance. And the same settings here. We'll just change this to acoustic guitar. Then Next. All right, so that's done. Let's just solo this here and hear how it sounds. All right, it makes it a little cleaner, and I really don't want this acoustic guitar to come through too much. I just sort of want it in the background, and let's hear how it sounds in the mix now with this on. So you can see there, I changed the level a bit. I increased it because we couldn't really hear the acoustic come through. I don't want it coming through too much, but I did want it to be there sort of in the background, and you could hear it every now and then. And I think we can do that now. I'm just going to leave the lead guitar until last. So now I'll move on to our bass guitar. Mix Assistant, change this to bass. And again, let's give it a listen. Lights in the sky, three lights blinking in the night. Then they shone down on me, but I didn't feel a thing. Okay, so we have our settings here. And if you wanted to add more things, like say you're not happy with any of this, you can turn some of these off by clicking these here. You can also add more effects in here if you really wanted to. I'm just going to leave this as is. All right, I'm going to solo it and we'll hear how this has changed the track. All right, again, we'll listen to it in the mix. So I'm going to leave the level, even though it sounds like it's a little low right now. I'm just going to leave it because it might come out a little more later on when we get to the mastering stage with the Ozone plugin. So I'm going to leave it the way it is right now, and we can revisit it later if we need to. So let's move on to drums. All right, before I get into the drums, I just want to show you how easy it is to get into these iZotope plugins with the membership options over on iZotope.com. They have two membership options, the Producer Club and Music Production Suite. The differences are one is $19.99, which is the Producers Club, and the Music Production Suite is $24.99. And really, there's kind of a single plugin difference. With the Music Production Suite, you get the RX8 plugin suite with it, which you don't get with the Producers Club. And another thing you'll notice that in addition to Ozone, Neutron, Nectar, Neoverb, and all of the other iZotope plugins, you're also going to get Melodyne Essentials, which is a nice added bonus. So far, I'm loving these plugins, and I still have more to show you, like what Nectar can do for your voice and Neoverb's Smart Reverb plugin. So if you want to check out these membership options, I'll link to it down in the description. All right, I've got Neutron 3 loaded onto our drum track. Just going to change this to drums. And you'll notice there's another plugin at the end. This is actually just a send, and it's going to our drum parallel, which I have muted at the moment. We'll see if we need that later on, but right now we don't need to worry about that. It's not an effect plugin or anything. So let's just click on the Mix Assistant, Track Enhance, go down to Drums, and click Next.
Three lights in the sky, three lights blinking in the night. And they shine down on me, but I didn't feel a thing.
All right, I already notice a big difference there with the drums, so I'm going to solo this for now. We'll listen to it. And let's check it out in the mix. You can really hear a nice difference there.
Three lights in the sky, three lights blinking in the night. And they shine down on me, but I didn't feel a thing.
Yeah, that's really nice. It's kind of livened the drums up a bit. It was very dull before, but now these are nice, clean drums. So I'm pretty happy with that. Let's move on to the next thing. I'm going to leave cymbals. Like I said, I just sort of want them there in the background. I don't need to do anything more with them. And we'll go to lead vocals. So with our vocals, I'm actually going to use a different plugin that's not Neutron 3. I'm going to use the iZotope Nectar plugin, which is designed specifically for vocals. So let's check that out. Going to add Nectar onto here. Here it is. And this time this is called Vocal Assistant. So let's click on Vocal Assistant, and you'll notice a couple of different options here. We have the Assistant, which is going to do a similar thing to Neutron, but specifically for vocals, or there's this Unmask here. And as you can see, it says it's going to carve out space for your vocal by comparing it to another audio track and then correcting the frequency masking, so it will bring out your vocal over one of the other tracks. If there's another track that's interfering with your vocal, you can select that track and it's going to bring your vocal out over top of that. But for this, I'm just going to choose Assist. Click Next. And do I want it modern, vintage, dialogue? And maybe this time I'm going to go with aggressive. I'll keep it on modern though. So let's click Next and we'll go.
Three lights in the sky, three lights blinking in the night. And they shine down on me, but I didn't feel a thing. They shine down so bright, I started climbing high. These three lights in the sky, three lights blinking in the night. What did they want from me? I started feeling something.
All right, so it's done. We'll click Accept and see what it's added here. So the gate is turned off and the pitch correction is turned off, but have a look in here. You can use the pitch correction if you needed it or wanted to, but I'm not going to use it here. And I'm not going to use the gate because it's suggesting I don't need it, but we have an EQ. We don't even have a de-esser on, but if we wanted, we can turn the de-esser on. If we wanted, we could turn this on. You can see you can have it listen to set your de-esser however you want. And we have EQ2 here, compressor, and then a little bit of reverb. I'm going to leave that on there right now, but I will be adding reverb in just a little bit to our reverb send down here. So we'll see how it sounds mixed with that. But right now, let's listen to what our vocal sounds like on its own.
3 lights in the sky, 3 lights blinking in the night, and they shine down on me, but I didn't feel a thing.
So you can hear this was an extremely dry vocal, and Nectar's actually given it a little bit of life. Let's listen to it in the mix now.
3 lights in the sky, 3 lights blinking in the night. 3 lights in the sky, 3 lights blinking in the night.
All right, it's really helped it to stand out in the mix, maybe a little too much. So we might want to lower that down. Let's just try that.
3 lights in the sky, 3 lights blinking in the night, and they shine down on me, but I didn't feel a thing.
All right, that's not too bad right there. Now for the last thing, which is our backing vocals. I have 3 here, and I'm just going to put Neutron onto this backing vocal submix that I have going on here. So we'll just add Neutron to there, and we'll go to Mix Assist again. And I need to get this right there where the backing vocal is. All right, Mix Assistant. It's vocals. And the reason why I'm not going with Nectar here is because I just want these backing vocals to be in the background, and Nectar will really bring out your vocal, which is not what I want here. So let's just click Next, then have it listen.
They shine down so bright, I started climbing high. They shine down so bright, I started climbing high.
All right, so we'll just accept that. And again, we'll just solo it. It's a lot cleaner, and it's going to sound a lot better in the mix.
They shine down so bright, I started climbing high.
I'm just going to go into the equalizer here though, and I want to set this to a high pass filter like that. And that should be good there. I might bring it over just a little bit. I don't want a lot of low end in my backing vocal, so that's why I'm doing that. Might even make the slope a little. There. Let's listen to that.
They shine down so bright.
That's fine right like that. I like it. So this song's coming along really nice, and we haven't even broken a sweat yet. So now let's go back up to the top and treat our lead guitar. And then we're going to get into the reverb. So here's our lead guitar. We're going to add Neutron on there. Mix Assistant. Guitar. And I want to bring this up front because it is our lead guitar. So let's do that. And listen. All right, I'm just going to solo it again to hear what we've got going on. this doesn't sound too bad. Let's listen to it in the mix again. All right, that's not bad right there. I like it. Again, the song is coming along really nice. All right, so we're kind of done our first round of processing here. We've got everything kind of sounding great. So let's add some reverb to our vocal to really kind of create some space in there. All right, so I'm sending the vocal from my lead vocals to each of these reverb sends. I've got reverb send 1 and 2, and that's part of this little bit of a sub mix. And the reason why I have the sub mix is just so I can control the levels of both of these all together. But right now I'm going to add the Neoverb plugin, which is a smart reverb plugin. It's pretty cool. So here's Neoverb, and I'm just going to mute that second one for now. With all of these plugins, they have great presets. So you could go in there and use one of these presets, but I like trying this mix assistant or reverb assistant as it's called in this case. So let's go to reverb assistant. And do we want it to be realistic? Do we want it to be dramatic? What size do we want it? I kind of want this one to be a larger sounding one. I want it to give it some width. So we're going to choose large. Do we want it clean, bright, airy? I'm going to go with airy. See what that sounds like. And the dry wet mix, I want 100 because this is on a send. And now we got to go to place where there's vocals.
These three lights in the sky, three lights blinking in the night. What did they want from me? I started feeling something. A warmness that surrounds. I didn't make a sound.
All right, so that's not bad right there. It's a good start. Now I'm going to add our second Neoverb. And for this one, we're going to go to Reverb Assistant. And I want this one to be kind of smaller. So I'm just going to leave it on medium, set this to 100, and we'll say bright for this one. Click Next. All right, so we have our shorter reverb now. Let's just give this a listen all together.
These three lights in the sky, three lights blinking in the night.
I think I'm just going to change this to a room style reverb. Let's hear that.
These three lights in the sky, three lights blinking in the night.
All right, let's hear them both together.
These three lights in the sky, three lights blinking in the night.
All right, I don't mind that right there. So let's hear it in the mix.
These three lights in the sky, three lights blinking in the night. What did they want from me? I started feeling something.
All right, so I don't mind that right now. And I think we're pretty much done with the mixing side of things here. We've got everything done up the way I want it. So let's start looking at more of our mastering or finishing touches. So for this, I'm going to bring in Ozone. So this is Ozone 9. And just like their other plugins, we've got an assistant here. And one thing to note about Ozone 9 is you want it to be the last plugin on your mix bus. So for this, yep, I want modern, but you do have the option for vintage. And you can see here, if I had a reference track that I wanted to match, I could click on that and load a reference track in, but I don't have that. And for intensity, I'm going to leave it at medium. And for this, it's going to be for streaming. But if you were putting this onto a CD, you could choose CD. And you can do different mastering. If you're doing streaming, you could have one mastered version. And then if you were going to put this onto a CD, then you could use CD and have a different mastered version. But this is what I want right here. Again, with this plugin, you kind of want it to be at the loudest part of your song. So this song is pretty much the same all the way through. I'm just going to put it here and we'll play it.
They shine down so bright. I started climbing high. These three lights in the sky, three lights blinking in the night. What did they want from me? I started feeling something, a warmness that surrounds. I didn't make a sound.
So that's our mastered version. So let's just do a little bit of a A/B test here.
They shine down so bright, I started climbing high. These three lights in the sky, three lights blinking in the night. What did they want from me? I started feeling something, a warmness that surrounds. I didn't make a sound.
All right, so that's not too bad like that. As you saw, I just turned down the vocals a little bit. I thought they were a little too loud. Let's listen.
Three lights in the sky, three lights blinking in the night. And they shine down on me, but I didn't feel a thing.
So I don't mind that. I don't think we need to add this drum parallel track in here. Let's just give it a listen.
Three lights in the sky, three lights blinking in the night. And they shine down on me, but I didn't feel a thing. They shine down so bright, I started climbing high.
All right, so I am going to bring in that drum parallel. I'm just going to leave it like that. So I'll play the full song for you in a bit in case you want to check the whole thing out as it's put together with all of these iZotope plugins on there. I'm not going to change anything from the way it is right now. I'm just going to play it through and you'll see it on the screen there. But here's what I think. These iZotope plugins have laid out an amazing foundation for my song, and if I wanted, I could add some other character plugins, or maybe I could dig in a little deeper and add some of the other iZotope modules that I have. But for a foundation to the song, it's laid out the levels pretty decently, and it's got us in the ballpark of where we want to go. And then the Neutron plugins on almost every track sound great, along with the Nectar plugin on the vocals. I'm really impressed with what I was able to achieve quickly and easily. But right now, let's play this whole song all the way through.
Three lights in the sky, three lights blinking in the night. And they shine down on me, but I didn't feel a thing. They shine down so bright, I started climbing high. These three lights in the sky, three lights blinking in the night. What did they want from me? I started feeling something, a warmness that surrounds. I didn't make a sound. In the sky, three lights blinking in the night. And they shine down on me, but I didn't feel a thing. The lights, they started turning down, and they left me on the ground.
All right, if you want to check out my budget home studio setup video, click up here, or click down here to see what YouTube recommends. If you liked this video, please give it a thumbs up. Also subscribe to the channel for more videos like this. Thank you so much for watching. For Audio Tech TV, I'm Zane. Keep creating, and we'll talk soon.